Imagine a sleepy coastal town called Astoria, Oregon, perched where the Columbia River spills into the Pacific, its streets lined with Victorian homes, the air heavy with salt, and the tang of fish from the docks. Here, in a weathered clapboard house with a widow's walk, Henry, Hank, Walsh and Margaret Maggie Boone lived, their 34 years of marriage a sturdy wall of bricks, some solid, some chipped, until, at 57, in the misty damp of April 2023, they crumbled. Not with a roar of fury or a flood of tears, but with a slow sigh, like fog settling over the water, a moment where they sat on the creaky porch swing, rain tapping the roof, and felt the mortar give way. They'd raised a daughter, filled a home with the hum of daily life, and now, in the quiet, it was done. He was a boat builder, his hands scarred from saws and varnish, shaping hulls that danced on the waves. She was a librarian, her fingers ink-stained, shelving books that whispered tales. By their mid-50s, their wall had weathered to dust, leaving only echoes where laughter once rang. Picture this: two souls stepping from the rubble into a world they'd forgotten how to shape, Hank with his wood, Maggie with her pages, until, by 60, they carved new paths in the misty glow of the Pacific Northwest. Step back to 1988 and see the meeting under the rusting arches of the Astoria Megler Bridge, the river churning below, gulls screeching as a summer storm brews. Hank, 23, leans against a piling, his denim jacket patched, his brown hair wild from a day sanding a skiff, a thermos of black coffee steaming in his grip. Maggie, 23 too, stands by the water's edge, her corduroy skirt swaying, her black hair pinned back, a stack of damp novels clutched from a library sale. Their eyes lock, his a deep hazel, hers a warm brown, and he saunters over, boots thudding on wet planks, flashing a crooked grin. They talk about the rain streaking the horizon, about his love for crafting boats that cut the tide, about her thrill in finding stories that breathe. He offers her coffee, their fingers brushing over the lid, and asks her to share an umbrella as thunder rumbles, the sky splitting with light. She laughs, sharp and clear, and says yes. A year later, in July 1989, they marry in a cannery-turned-chapel, his flannel shirt stiff, her dress a thrift store find she hemmed, the air rich with cedar as friends clap from folding chairs. He promises to float her dreams. She vows to anchor his days. For decades, they build at harbor together. Now hear their daughter, Rose, burst in during 1991, a fierce sprite with Hank's lopsided smile and Maggie's quick mind, darting through the house like a gust off the ocean. Hank swaps late-night planning for early tales, showing Rose how to whittle a stick into a fish, their shadows dancing on the porch as waves crash below. Maggie reads aloud, Treasure Island, Narnia, the living room a whirl of her voice, and Rose's gasps, books tumbling from shelves. In 1994, they buy the clapboard, a salt-worn relic with a steep roof, a widow's walk where fog curls, and a kitchen smelling of tar and tea. Hank builds a shed, his tools clanging, sawdust thick as he crafts dinghies, the sea a constant growl outside. Maggie lines the den with bookshelves, her novels stacked high, Austen, Hemingway, her garden a tangle of lavender, and sea thrift braving the wind. Picture summer dusk, Rose skipping stones by the pier, Hank frying clams, Maggie stringing lanterns that flicker like fireflies, the ocean a silver sheen beyond. Money ebbs low, storms rattle the panes, but the house stands, a hull for their shared tide. Feel the cracks widen. By their 50s, the wall leans. Rose leaves for Seattle in 2010, chasing journalism, her room a crypt of notebooks and seashells, the silence seeping into the boards. The clapboard grows hushed, the swing sways empty, the shed dim. Hank heads out longer, his boat rocking through dawn swells, his voice a rasp when he stomps home, boots dripping, Rough seas, Mags, need a breather. She buries herself in the library, cataloging late, her chatter fading to murmurs as she slumps into a rocker. Long shift, Hank, folks need quiet now. He tries. Let's walk Fort Stevens, hear the surf, or how about supper at Bowie Beer? But she shrugs, too worn, maybe next time. They eat apart. Him with a cold crab roll by the shed, her with soup in the den. The garden wild, their words drowned by the foghorn's wail. By 2021, he takes the attic, its mattress thin under a tarp. The widow's walk creaking with a view they can't sail. Since the crumble in April 2023. Hank's 57, his hands gnarled like the oak he shapes, his hair thinning under a wool cap. Maggie's 57 too, her fingers cramped from years of spines, her brown eyes soft behind fog glasses. He's just varnished a kayak, its hull gleaming like wet stone, when he steps onto the porch, rain streaking his coat, and finds her there, flipping a worn paperback, her tea cold. We're not standing anymore, he says, his voice rough as the tide below. She looks up, her page still, her breath a mist in the damp. I know, Hank, we're just dust, aren't we? He nods, slow as a wave receding. Yeah, Mags, we are. It's time to let the wall fall. They sit on the swing, the rain a steady drum, the ocean a gray roar beyond, and agree, 34 years is a structure collapsed. No clash, no sobs, just a foundation too weak to hold. They part with a clasp, her hand cool on his, a last plank pulled free. Watch the pieces scatter. They sell the clabbered, too laden with echoes, and split the cash square. Maggie moves to a loft above the library, a tight nook with a slanted roof, her books piled by a window dripping with rain. Hank rents a shack near the docks, a weathered box with a tin roof, a stool facing the water, a rack for his tools. Rose calls from Seattle, Dad, Mom, why now, what sank? They falter, it didn't sink, kid, it just weathered away, they say. Friends split. Some stay with Maggie, borrowing her tomes. Others meet Hank for whiskeys at the chart room. The first year is a mist. Hank builds in a blur, his boat sleek but his heart adrift. Night spent rocking on that stool. The seas slap a plank he can't fit. Maggie shelves in a haze, her pages crisp, but her soul soft. Evenings by her window, the fog a curtain over a town she can't steer. They miss Rose's stomp, each other's rustle. The house has grown in a squall. See the pads carve in 2024. At 58, Hank joins a hiking club. A flare after a sailor brags about the trails, his hands trading chisels for poles, trekking the Saddle Mountain slopes. He stumbles, his knees creaky from years at sea, but he presses on, hooked on the climb, the sting of sweat in his eyes, the moss slick underfoot. The crew is rough, retirees, a young logger, a widow named Faye who hikes with a steady stride and a flask of gin. They meet weekends, scaling ridges, the ocean a silver thread below, the air thick with pine and rain. Hank buys boots, scarred leather with red laces, and hikes solo one dawn, the cliffs waking in gold as he summits a peak. It's not swift, but it rises, a path cut anew. Maggie, at 58, takes up kayaking, renting a paddle from a shop on Commercial Street, her hands swapping pins for oars, slicing through the Youngs River. She tips, her arms shaky from years at a desk, but she rows on, drawn to the glide, the splash of salt on her lips, her first loop a wobbly arc in the tide. Feel them soar by 59. Hank sells his pickup, buys a motorcycle, a black Triumph with a growl, and rides the coast to Cannon Beach, his tools rattling, the waves crashing white against haystacks. He's not fast, cars pass, Faye teases, but speed's not it. The ride is, the wind a new grain to sand. He starts a journal, hulls and heights, scribbling about divorce, trails, and the rush of open air, his words sharp as his old saws. Dock hands read it, then strangers, folks in Tillamook, Newport, a guy in Eureka saying, "I'm hiking too." Maggie trades her sedan for a bike, a blue Schwinn with a basket, and pedals the river walk, her paddle strapped tight, the breeze cool on her face. She joins a writing group, crafting short stories, storms, shores, her hands steady with a new ink. Rose visits Hank, sees the bike, laughs, "You're rolling, Dad." She sees Maggie's tail, hugs her, "You're flowing, Mom." At 60, they carve in color. Hank cuts boat work, leads hiking trips, cliffs, tales, his voice deep, his boots crusted with mud and stories. He rides to Nikoni one fall, camps by the bluff, wakes to a dawn that fires the sea orange, his triumph a steed on the edge. Maggie scales back the library, kayaks for peace, loops, drifts, her stories stacking up, read at local nights. She bikes to Fort Clatsop, paddles the Lewis and Clark, the sun hot on her skin. They're not rich. His shack smells of tar and sweat, her loft of ink and tea. They're not famed. His journal has 490 readers, her tales stay small. But they're Hank and Maggie, bold, alive, reshaped. They meet once, by chance at a pier in 2026, him with a trail guide, her with a kayak map. They grin, swap a yarn, Bart light, two paths freshly carved. Divorce at 57 crumbled us, they'd say now, their voices clear. It let us build again, taller. Picture America's edges. Astoria's missed to every rugged shore, where couples like Hank and Maggie crumble every day. Gray divorces aren't ruins, they're ridges. I'm Jordan Lane, and this is Gray Divorce Diaries. Their tale is real, raw, rich, risen. If it moves you, subscribe. Every day, a new story. People like us, carving after 55. You're not alone. Let's shape your trail together.